Hey yo, what is up, everybody? Coach Chad here. I'm going to skip over all the normal intro stuff and I'm just going to get right into it today. This shouldn't be a very long podcast, but it's going to be a very impactful one. And if you are a coach, you likely are trying to make the greatest impact in the world. All right. And often we associate creating our maximum possible impact with influencing and helping the largest quantity of people and growing the biggest business that we possibly can. And that's true. You know, the more people you help, the more clients you have, the bigger business you have, that's more leverage for creating more impact. But often we overlook the very small things, the very small actions that we take day to day that can have a very large influence on your immediate circle and the whole entire world. And that's what I want to drive home with you guys today. And I have I have a story that hits home for me that I want to share that kind of, opened my eyes to this, right? Because like I said, as coaches, often we're trying to create the largest impact and we associate that with helping the most amount of people and having the largest business, but we overlook the small things that we do daily that can create just as big, if not a bigger impact on the world. So let's dive into it. All right. So this story is going to be about my dad. I'm going to give you a little backstory on my dad and I's relationship when it comes to health and fitness. All right. I got into health and fitness at a very young age, right around the age of 15. All right. Sports got me super into health and fitness. My dad got me into sports, so he helped me out in that regard. My dad was never really into health and fitness. He's always struggled with weight loss. He's always been overweight. And at a young age, 15, I started once again getting very into health and fitness. And I would ask myself, oh my God, my dad's not into this. And I would start preaching to the choir. And he, very typical men fashion, did not want to be open to my help, did not want to be open to me saying, hey, you got to change, you got to lose weight, you got to step up your health and fitness. If you want to be here long term, you're going to have to, lose this weight and improve your health and fitness. And it would turn into a lot of fights because I'm very relentless. My personality is very relentless and I won't let up. So every day I was in his ear about how he needs to get fit, how he needs to get fit. Now, there was one time that he did listen to me and he lost a lot of weight. He did end up gaining it back, but that was our relationship when I would live in their household. Is I was a pain in the ass and I really tried to help him get healthy and fit. And I did it in a very relentless approach where I would preach to the choir. So that's a little backstory. All right, let's get into the real story. So I started 75 hard in January. All right. And if you guys know, one aspect of 75 hard is you can't have a sip of alcohol for 75 days. So in January, I flew back to Connecticut. I live in Texas. My parents live in Connecticut. I flew back to Connecticut to watch the Giants playoff game with my family. It's a big thing that we bond over. Giants haven't been in the playoffs in years. So I flew back to watch that with them. Now, I flew back a couple of days before the game, so we went out to dinner one of the nights, and the waitress was going around the table. Everybody ordered an alcoholic beverage. It got to me. I asked for a diet soda. I could tell my dad was like, he was kind of interested about it. He didn't ask right away, but once we were served the dinner, everyone had their drinks. Everybody had their food. My dad looked at me and said, "Are you not drinking?" And then I told him, I said, "Hey, I'm doing, this thing. It's called 75 hard. I'm not going to drink for 75 days. I told him all the other aspects of the program as well. Now, he didn't really say anything directly. He kind of just brushed it off. And, knowing our previous experience with health and fitness, I didn't push any buttons. So I just wanted to enjoy the dinner. I didn't push any buttons. But he did ask. Obviously, I piqued his interest. Now, that vacation was over. I flew back to Texas. Obviously, they're staying home in Connecticut. The next week, my mom calls me. And part of the conversation is she told me that my dad has chose to stop drinking. To give you a little bit more backstory, my dad is not an alcoholic, but there are times that he could definitely overindulge in alcohol, and he definitely uses it as a bit of a stress relief. So if that falls under your definition of alcoholic, sure. My definition of alcoholic is a little bit different, but anyways, that's not relevant to the story. But this was one of the times in his life that he was definitely using alcohol a little bit more than he should have. And like I said, I didn't want to push any buttons at that dinner, but I do think that my actions had a lot of influence on him, because the very next week, my mom told me that he chose to stop drinking. And, now he hasn't had a drink in like 5 months, which is crazy, right? Which is crazy to think about, with our past experience of me always being on his ass to be better. And then this time I didn't say anything, but my actions spoke and my leadership spoke, because I led by example. And that's when I had this epiphany. That's when I had this eye-opening moment that our actions sometimes have the greatest influence and impact on changing people's lives. Sometimes it's not our words. Sometimes it's not preaching to the choir. Sometimes it's not, just talk, 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 talk. Sometimes it's your actions and leading by example. I had no idea that I had that kind of leverage and that kind of influence over my dad. I don't know if it's, if I have more influence now over my dad than I did as a kid, because he respects me more as a man and respects me more as a man for making my own decisions. That probably has something to do with it. But it really was eye-opening, pulling this back to a business perspective, that our actions freaking matter. All right. Your actions matter. Your leadership matters. What you choose to do every day, what you choose to say every day, what you choose to think every day has a huge impact, not only on your immediate family, but it has a huge impact on the world, because your actions now dictate and show other people what is possible. All right. My dad didn't know that was possible in terms of, just saying, hey, no, I'm not drinking. For 75 days, I'm choosing not to drink. And now he, because he saw that possibility, chose to do it for himself. All right. And people are watching you that you don't even know are watching you, and they're watching your actions, and they're using your actions as a justification for their own life. All right. So you could choose to do the right thing, lead by example, so people could justify doing that in their own life as well. And I really think this is important for you to hear as a coach, because like I said, you're really trying right now to sign as many clients as possible to make an impact. And you shouldn't stop doing that. You should still aim to grow the biggest businesses possible. But if your goal is maximum impact, if your goal is maximum influence and change in helping individuals, you have to look inward. And you have to look at what your actions are saying to other individuals, because like I said, there are people watching you that you don't even know are watching you, that you have tremendous influence over. And if you are not living to your fullest potential, if you are not leading by example, if you are not deliberately choosing your actions and thinking there are people watching me and using my example as a compass for their own life, then you're not going to be able to maximize your own impact. And that's the point that I wanted to drive home in this podcast, is that if you want to have maximum impact, sometimes it's the small things that we do daily that make the greatest change. Because now my dad's actions might inspire somebody else. Who knows? My dad runs in a circle. My dad's a blue collar worker. He runs in a circle where, alcohol is used a lot, right? With blue collar workers, they work long, hard hours. And I know a lot of them overindulge in the booze, overindulge in the cigarettes. And now when he shows up to work, who knows? Maybe somebody else sees his actions and chooses to do the same thing. So your influence, your day-to-day actions, your leadership, leading by example, can create a massive ripple effect. And we need it right now in this world. I don't know if you guys have the same thoughts and beliefs as me, but I don't think the world's in a very good spot. I think there is a ton of mental weakness. I think there is a complete lack of hard work. I think the world is missing a ton of very valuable character traits right now. I think there's a huge divide politically, just in general humanity. I think there's a huge divide. And I think that we as leaders, we as coaches, we as people who have influence, really now more than ever need to focus on our actions, what we're doing day to day, and how our life can impact those around us. So that's my message. Hope you guys enjoyed. Go out there, lead by example, be conscious of your actions and how they're affecting others in your life.